is a clicker right there. And you got 15 minutes. Thanks.
Thank you, George. So I'm going to describe why high-speed networks need proactive congestion control. This is joint work with Lisa Yan, Nick McKeown, and Sachin Kati at Stanford, Mohammad Alizadeh at MIT, and George Verghese at Microsoft Research. So first, let me describe the congestion control problem to you. So here I have a set of links and flows that use different subsets of these links. And the congestion control problem is to find rates for these flows that are fair, that use the network efficiently, and are feasible, so we avoid congestion. So how do we solve this problem? Well, an easy thing we can do is ask an oracle. We give her a list of active flows and the links that they use and the link capacities, and then she magically gives us the ideal rates for all these flows. Well, it's not quite magic, because given the link capacities and traffic matrix, anyone can compute the fair rates. On the other hand, here's what we do today. Today's traditional congestion control, for one, is totally decentralized, and no one, neither the links nor the flows, has any explicit information about the traffic matrix. As a result, they have to measure congestion signals, like packet losses or queuing, and then react, and they have to figure out rates by reacting to these measurements and adjusting these rates after some measurement delay. So this is a gradual process. They can't just jump directly to the right rates, but they know the direction in which to adjust. And because these algorithms are reacting to congestion signals, I'm going to call them reactive algorithms. Now let me show you one example of such a reactive algorithm. I'm going to show you RCP, or Rate Control Protocol. So RCP was designed specifically to find ideal max-min fair rates quickly. And max-min fairness is the notion of fairness that I'm looking at in this talk. So I'm going to show you how RCP finds rates for these flows. And here I have a plot. On the y-axis, I'll have the transmission rate of the flows. On the x-axis, I have time in RTTs. And so before I plot what RCP does for these flows, let's look at one of them, the red flow, flow C. And what rate should it get? The ideal rate, it uses the 10 gigabit link, and it shares it with one other flow. So its ideal rate should be 5 gigabits per second. And now I'm going to show you what RCP does. So just to give you some background, in RCP, the switches, they figure out the rates by measuring congestion signals, like queuing and input traffic rates seen at the links. And the flows, they get a set of rates from their switches, and they just send at the minimum rate that they hear. So here is what RCP does for this red flow. You can see that initially, the switch must have measured some low traffic rate or queuing, and so it steps up the advertised rate. And it overshoots, and so it brings it down. And then it gradually gets to the ideal rate in around 30 round-trip times. And let me add the plots for the other flows. You can see that they're similar in that the rates are all over the place, and it takes around 30 round-trip times to converge. And even then, they haven't quite converged yet. You can see them oscillating around the ideal rates, the orange and green flows. So this behavior is typical of all traditional congestion controls, whether it's TCP, XCP, or DCTCP. Well, it's cool that they don't need any explicit information to compute rates. They can figure out simply by reacting to congestion signals. If we take a step back, you'll start wondering, why are we taking 30 round-trip times to figure out just a few rates? Why can't we be closer to 1 RTT, like the oracle? In fact, if the flow lasts only a few RTTs, then we cannot afford to wait 30 round-trip times to converge. And this problem gets worse as link speeds get higher, because at 100 gigabits per second, a typical flow in a search workload would finish in less than 7 RTTs. And obviously, we can't wait 30 round-trip times in that case. So let me quickly show you how I got this number. So this is the flow size distribution for a data center search workload. And you can see a majority of the flows are medium size. And if I take a typical medium flow, or if I take a medium-sized flow that's 1 megabyte long, to transmit it at 100 gigabits per second, I can do that. It will finish in 80 microseconds, which is around 7 to 8 RTTs in a typical data center. So these reactive traditional congestion control schemes are going to be too slow. And let me recap why they're slow. Firstly, they don't have explicit information. As a result, they have to figure out rates by measuring congestion signals and reacting. They can't leap directly to the correct values, but they know the direction in which to adjust. And because their reaction is fed back into the network and results in new congestion signals, they have to make sure that the steps that they take to adjust are very cautious. So then what we realized is that these reactive algorithms are actually trading off knowledge of the explicit flow information for longer convergence times. And so in this talk, we try to figure out if we can use the explicit flow information and get much shorter convergence times. So to start thinking about this, maybe we should go back to the oracle and look at how she used the traffic matrix to compute the ideal rates. So a standard algorithm to find maximum fair rates given the traffic matrix is the water filling scheme. I'm going to explain it to you quickly. So here I use gray boxes for the links and colored ones for the flows. The height of the box is proportional to the capacity of the link or the allocation of the flow. And I start with 0 allocation for everyone, and then I increase everyone's rate at everyone's allocation at the same rate until some link is fully used. So link 3 is fully used. I say that both the flows going through that are bottlenecked, and I freeze them. I continue to increase the rate until every flow is bottlenecked at some link. And now I can just read out the fair shares. So if we try to implement this in a centralized controller, the controller would have to be involved with every flow event. It would have to do this computation and also communicate the new rates to all the affected flows. And moreover, the scheme will take time proportional to the number of flows and links. So it seems like it's not a centralized water filling scheme may not scale that easily. And so in this talk, I try to answer if we can let the network figure out the rates in a distributed fashion. So if we had a single link, then it seems easy to figure out. So here I have a link, a 30 gigabit link, and 2 flows I want to use it. So what the flows do is the flows tell the link that they have a demand, which is the rate that they're willing to send. And in this case, both the flows advertise a demand of infinity, because they'll send whatever the link lets them. And the link uses these demands to compute a fair share, which is just the capacity split evenly between the two. And then it tells the flows that their fair share is 15 gigabits per second. That seemed very easy. Now let me add a second link and let flow B go through that link. Now that link is 10 gigabits per second. So that means flow B can't advertise to link 1 that its demand is infinity, because clearly it can't send more than 10 gigabits per second because of link 2. So it has a dependency. And so it should update its demand at link 1 based on what it hears from link 2. So here's another way to look at this network, which lets you capture such dependencies easily. So here you can see that dependency path, which shows that the demand that link 1 hears from flow B depends on the fair share message that flow B gets from link 2. So now these notions of demands, fair shares, and dependencies, it leads us into our distributed scheme called PERC, or Proactive Explicit Rate Control. In PERC, flows and links alternately exchange messages along the edges of this bipartite graph. So yeah, in this bipartite, I think I explained that. OK. Sorry. So first, the flow sends a demand, which is, so it sends infinity if it hasn't heard from any other links yet. And if it has, then it picks the minimum fair share that it has heard. So in this case, all the flows send infinity. And the link sends a fair share message based on these demands. So when all the demands are infinity, it just computes the capacity divided by number of flows. So that's why link 1 sends 15G to both its flows. And if some demands are less than infinity, then it would use water filling to find the fair share. And you can notice that these messages that they're sending, they're approximate, but they jump to their right values very quickly with more rounds. For example, in the second round, when the flows send their demands to the links, you can see that flow B has already updated its demand to link 1 from infinity to 10 gigabits per second. And based on this more accurate demand, the link can already compute the correct fair shares for both the flows. And yeah, so that's the summary of our message passing scheme, our message passing scheme. And this is this is actually inspired by a more general class of algorithms called message passing algorithms, which have been used to decode error correcting codes, also to keep counts of flows using shared counters. So you can see a very similar bipartite graph for these decoding algorithms. On the left side, there are the bits of the received code word. And on the right side, you have a set of parity checks that these bits are involved in. And they're passing messages between each other to figure out what the transmitted code word bits were. Now, let me describe how we make this message passing scheme concrete in a network. So all the demand and fair share messages that you saw for a flow are in this one control packet. So here you can see the control packet for flow B. And it has the demands of flow B for both the links that it goes through. And it also has placeholders where the links will fill in the fair shares. And this packet just goes back and forth between the endpoints as long as this flow is active. And the links on the way will look at the demands and compute the fair shares and fill in the packet. And then when it gets back, the flow picks the minimum fair share as its sending rate and updates the demands for the next packet based on those fair shares. So now let's see how well this scheme does on the network I showed in the beginning. You can see that PERC converges very fast. All the flow rates have converged to their ideal values within 5 RTTs. First, the red and blue flows converge to 5 gigabits per second because of link 3, and then the orange and green ones converge. And to remind you, this is much better than what RCP did. It took 30 RTTs to converge. In fact, more generally, we saw that if we have a complex topology with these long dependency paths, and we try random traffic matrices, then PERC does converge much faster than RCP. So for this experiment, I have this topology with 4 N hosts connected to a Tor. And I tried 3,000 random traffic matrices, keeping the number of flows at 32. And you can see that at the median, PERC takes 4 RTTs, while RCP takes 14. And at the tail, PERC takes 10, while RCP takes more than 7 times as much. So proactive schemes like PERC definitely converge much faster than reactive schemes. However, there are some open questions we are still working on. For example, one is how would we calculate fair shares in PERC switches? To remind you, the PERC switches will look at the demands of all the flows and then compute fair shares for each link. And for one, it looks like we need per flow state, and then we need some logic to do the water filling for that link. We think we can probably approximate this in some way and implement and try to find feasible, like real implementations. And we might also have to make the fair share calculation incremental instead of doing it for every flow from scratch. And another cool thing we're looking at is how do we bound these convergence times in theory? In practice, we see that they converge very quickly, and we have done some work to prove that they do converge in time proportional to the number of bottleneck links. But we're trying to see if there are variants which can be faster, or if we can get tighter bounds on the convergence times. And finally, so for this talk, I was talking about max-min fairness. However, we believe that this convergence time becomes an important metric no matter what policy you're looking at when flows are short-lived. And proactive schemes would outperform reactive ones. So here are the takeaways from the talk. Firstly, reactive schemes are slow for short flows, which will form the majority at 100 gigabits per second. Second, proactive schemes like PERC are fundamentally different and can converge quickly because they calculate explicit rates based on out-of-band information about the set of active flows. And finally, message passing is a promising approach. It can be made practical, and we need further analysis to understand the good conversion time that we see in practice. Thank you.